Dear High Commissioner Mr. Filippo Grandi and Deputy High Commissioner Ms. Kelly T. Clement, the UNHCR Bureau Europe and the UNHCR office in Greece, and the High Commissioner's representative in this country, Mr. Philippe Leclerc. I am 33 years old, civil engineer, a Kurdish national, originally from Iran, but practically a stateless person in exile for over 14 years. I am as well a recognized refugee who has been held hostage in Greece for over 4 years, where not only I had been deprived of everything, of even the livelihood for all these many years, but systematically being exploited as well. The illegal treatment of my case, which consists of deliberate negligence and systematic denial in providing a civil and humane response to my rightful needs, suppressing my repeated appeals in the most inhumane ways, systematic degradation, humiliation and torture, has basically put me in a very intolerable position. In fact, it has created a life and death situation, and thereby has even put me at the risk of survival. Clearly, this is nothing but a systematic deprivation and targeted assassination. This is a hideous and unforgivable crime against humankind and its progress, and thus this should be addressed at the top level of the authorities of the United Nations, and urgent actions should be taken immediately in order to put an end to this catastrophic tragedy. The Greek state and the UN authorities, in particular the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, instead of responding to this erosive issue and by trying to criminalize my case and even targeting my personal character and my dignity and honor in many sophisticated and calculated ways, have evaded their responsibilities for over 4 years. Together with the help of the so-called humanitarian NGOs in Greece, they had dragged the case out for this long in a clear hope that I would die and never going to make it. At last, what they had finally proposed after these many years of suffering and repeated appeals was nothing but a lame attempt only to give themselves an alibi. I am, of course, and at the doorsteps of the UNHCR in Athens, located at the Michalakopoulou 91, protesting the illegal treatment of my case ever since March 21st, 2017, which I believe could mark the longest protest ever known to the mankind. Aside from the fact that I was initially on hunger strike here at the doorsteps of UNHCR in Athens for up to 64 days, but also the conditions forced on me are truly bitter, unbearable, torturous, illegal, inhumane and unethical. There is also a 10-meter restraining order imposed by the Greek court of Abel prison, which practically bars me not just from entering the UNHCR building, but even from approaching the organization, which in a sense basically has prevented me from seeking help for my life and enslaved me in Greece. Due to this 10-meter restraining order, practically I have been forbidden from entering the UNHCR building, where it lies the solution to this destructive problem, and therefore every attempt at doing so or even approaching the building will result in further punishments such as unnecessary violence and physical assaults by the guards of the building, the people inside the building, the employees of the organization, and even the Hellenic police. These are, of course, in addition to the indefinite numbers of illegal detention in different police facilities, trials after trials in the Greek courts of Evilpizon, and illegal detention in refugee camps or even prisons, I have already suffered all these extra punishments for approaching the UNHCR building and trying to seek help for my life. However, this is in fact the case for an immigration and refugee court, but contrary to all the norms and because of the non-existence of such a court in this country, my case has been referred to a criminal court right away. The kind of the court which does not even practice any law that serves the rights and interests of refugees in any ways. Up to now, I have had up to 17 trials in the Greek Court of Appeal prison, and all on the grounds of breaching the about 10-meter restraining order and trying to reach the UNHCR office and attempting to seek help for my life. I had as well had to serve multiple prison sentences on the same accounts. This is in addition to the fact that I have also been completely deprived of even legal aid and support during all these trials. And despite repeated appeals to the court and almost all the NGOs in Greece as well, still I have no lawyer or legal advisor who could have assisted me during these trials. This is to me more or less counts as Greece's and UNHCR's yet another deception aiming at even inflicting further damages to my life, first for the crime of seeking refuge in Europe and secondly for the crime of trying to leave it behind through the only available legal tunnel as an unprotected and undocumented refugee. And in order for me to register with the organization and for my case to be forwarded for resettlement in another country, it is an absolute necessity that this utterly inhumane and immoral order be lifted urgently and thereby open the way for my immediate departure from Greece, and let me find asylum in a country that can offer me real protection, not exploiting and torturing me to death while pretending to be protecting me. Seeking help for my life is not and should not be considered as a crime, but the court's order that practically bars me from doing so is a hideous and unforgivable crime that not only should have been condemned by the UNHCR itself, but also all the international communities who's working with the issues concerning refugees and human rights violations and whoever else aware of the case. It is an obvious fact that I have absolutely no protection in Greece, and hence the country has to release me from its fate, protection, apologize, and compensate me for the amount of immeasurable and irreparable damages they inflicted on my life, and also help for my resettlement, readmission in another country as a way of easing my pain and suffering, and let me go immediately. Having an already expired refugee status from a country that has continuously failed to offer one with real protection will not and should not eliminate one's rightful needs for his resettlement in another country. In fact, one only becomes eligible for resettlement when he is already in possession of the legal status, whether this has been granted to him by the UN Refugee Agency UNHCR or a member state signatory to the 1951 Geneva Convention. Refugees do not have any obligation to stay in a country with no functioning asylum system, no protection of any kind, and no security at all. These are aside from the fact that I did not seek refuge to pay and suffer, that Greece obviously does not own me, and I do not want to have anything to do with Greece or with these Greeks, with Greece or with the Greek state in general, especially after this many years of enduring pain and suffering in this country. I did not agree or sign on any paper that enslaves me in this country because more or less, this is nothing but a clear example of slavery. Am I not in charge of my own life? Is this why you believe refugees do not count at all? Not only I have been deprived of everything here, but I have also been completely drained in this country, physically, emotionally, economically, and in every other way one can ever imagine. Greece's fake protection has even deprived me of seeking other countries' protection. That is why it is really crucial that Greece release me from its fake protection and let me go. I did not ever ask for Greece's fake protection at the first place, but a safe and legal way of entry to other EU countries without having to rely on people smugglers, which it turned out that I was given false and incomplete information, and therefore I was basically misled. A shameful misdirection that has extended my suffering into many more years and has caused untold harm and damage to my life. It is clear now that Sweden sent me back to Greece exactly because I did not pay people smugglers. They sent me back to Greece even when Greece was not abiding by the Dublin regulations, and even when all the borders were temporarily open and people could freely leave Greece and reach other EU countries where they could claim asylum without having to face any obstacles. When it comes to refugees in Greece, not only human rights have no values, but the state is egregiously active in violating all its international obligations under the 1951 Geneva Convention and all other ratified civil and human rights conventions, while all the UNHCR does is not only to turn blind eyes on all those violations, but also using violence and intimidation to keep away whoever is seeking help from this organization. Greece's violations of its international obligations with respect to my case can be listed as follows. The 1951 Geneva Convention, Article 3, Article 7, Paragraph 3, 4, 5, Article 15, Article 16, Article 17, Article 18, Article 19, Paragraph 2, Article 21, 22, 23, Article 24, Paragraph 1b, 3, and Article 34. The Universal Convention of Human Rights, Article 1, Article 5, Article 8, Article 9, Article 22, Article 23, Paragraph 1, Article 25, Paragraph 1. The European Convention for Human Rights, Article 1, Article 3, Article 5, Article 13, Article 14. Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhumane or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, CAT. Article 1, Article 2.1 and 2.2, Article 3, Article 6.3, Article 10.1, Article 11, Article 12, Article 13, Article 14.1, Article 15, Article 16.1, Article 17.1. I need a country that can offer me real protection, not the one that is sucking the blood out of refugees and shamelessly pretending it is protecting them. This is basically why, since my illegal deportation from Sweden back to Greece in September 2015, I have been constantly trying to reach the UNHCR office in Athens to get a piece of paper which, according to both the US and Canadian embassy, is required for resettlement in either of these countries. This piece of paper is called Resettlement Referral. Although refugees are the only group of people eligible for resettlement, but even in possession of the legal status, they are not allowed to apply for resettlement on their own. According to the current procedure, resettlement of individual refugees would require UNHCR's mediation for the submission of their applications. With regards to my case, the UNHCR's actions in Greece by far were all devoted in making my life even further. I am addressing this urgent humanitarian appeal once again in order to be given a safe passage to a country of asylum or to be resettled in another country urgently. My needs for resettlement or getting a safe passage are rightful, legit, and legal. My case already fulfills at least 3 of the resettlement criteria. Those criteria are legal and physical protection needs, survival of violence and torture, and lack of local integration prospects. The UNHCR office is globally in charge of finding protection, a durable and sustainable solution for genuine refugees, and the organization must become aware of the fact that everyday deliberate and systematic delay giving a proper response to my rightful needs is a direct attack on my life, freedom, and fundamental rights, and hence is an unforgivable crime. Having Greece's fake protection expired on March 19, 2018, and now being at the potential risk of deportation as well today, and while my protest at the doorsteps of the organization has passed over 25 months, I have reached out to the UNHCR office again for 1,000,000 times and requesting an urgent response to the following proposition and an immediate end to my long imprisonment in Greece. First, as due to the Dublin regulations, I won't be able to seek protection in other EU countries, and as due to the timing and geographical restrictions, I am also being excluded from benefiting from EU's already failed relocation program. I am requesting entry to the UNHCR building in order to register with the organization and for my case to be forwarded for resettlement in another country immediately. Thus, I am urging the UNHCR office to stop hindering and damaging my life any further, and as the embassies of other countries have repeatedly requested, issue a resettlement referral letter which is required for my resettlement in either of these countries. Refugees do not need a refugee chief or a refugee organization when it can neither provide them with a safe passage nor resettlement opportunities. Second, if the organization does not want to carry out its respective responsibilities and properly respond to this urgent humanitarian appeal, this erosive problem which has already left catastrophic impacts on my life, if the UNHCR does not want to assist my case even when I am unprotected, undocumented, and at the risk of deportation as well, then please issue an official letter that explains UNHCR's reason for denying me entry to their building, and also include clear information and instructions about which office of the UN Refugee Agency and in where would be the best office to handle my case and my resettlement appeals, and why I cannot remain hostage in Greece and I cannot go to people smugglers either. I have no wings, I cannot fly. 3. If not, then help coordinate a meeting between delegates of either Canada or the US government to come here to the UNHCR office and negotiate a safe passage with me, thus to be allowed to seek protection in either of these countries there later upon arrival with their own acknowledgement and approval. As a recognized refugee and a stateless person in exile for over 14 years who has been held hostage in Greece for over 4 years and being on protest for over 25 months, I believe I am entitled to a safe and legal way of entry to a country of asylum. Fourth, if not, then as I was being directed to the UNHCR office by the embassies of the countries named above, UNHCR may also consider referring me back to those embassies, explain why UNHCR is not able or does not want to help, and encourage them, if they really want to help, if they are willing to help, then to come up with an alternative approach, such as accepting a resettlement application without a referral from the UNHCR office, or offering a safe passage to their country and help put an end to this endless torment imposed on me for over 4 years. 5. If not, then you are kindly asked to issue a public appeal addressed either to the Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship of Canada or the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and ask them to offer me asylum or to negotiate my rights and let me settle in either of these countries. 6. If UNHCR is not willing to collaborate on any of the proposed solutions above, this would only indicate a continuation of the UNHCR's arrogance and its shameful policies, which appears to be more important than the lives of human beings. If that is the case, then please do the killing fast, not like cowards. No slow killings, it really hurts. Please also be informed that since March 2018, I have continually been asking to be accommodated at one of the UNHCR's apartments buildings while still awaiting a response from either of the Canadian or the US government with respect to my asylum and resettlement appeals to them. Additionally, I was also trying to deliver a dossier to the organization. I have not been contacted by anyone from the UNHCR office even to receive this dossier. Furthermore, since I am as well truly terrorized by the organization, the people inside the building and the Hellenic police as well, I feel the need to remind you of the repeated physical assaults on me at the doorsteps of your organization while I am still awaiting a civil and humane response to this humanitarian appeal. Thank you for your time and attention. I will look forward to your reply. Yours respectfully, Anwar, Nillufary. Registered case number at the Greek Asylum Office 12826 from the year 2014. Address: here is my shelter, located at the doorsteps of the UNHCR office, Michalakopoulou 91, Athens, since March 21st, 2017. Today is Monday, April 15th.